Guys, I'm going to be covering my trades today. Let's first start on the daily. So let's go ahead and compare Dow to NQ. So if you look Friday, we saw that NQ was the first to take up this high. So note this swing point high, this swing point high. NQ traded into it, didn't manipulate it. So that means we can expect Friday, right, to actually catch up to that. That's why we see Friday being bullish, expanding higher, and NQ expanding lower, right? It's to catch up, right? So that created a divergence in this gap. So with the previously manipulated into the gap, then what's the next day do? Expand, right? So that's where we see price manipulates into the gap, but didn't really expand. So again, this is where you can usually see that it's not surprising when Asia just expands away, right? So that's what happens, right? We just expand away. And then we hit these highs. Here. Now this is going to be important. Where's the previous day's low? It's technically right here. So coming into the driver, we're going to keep this SMT noted, but coming into the driver, what did we really see between, actually I need to pull them all up. Let's pull up NQ over here actually. Let's pull up that, bam, bam. All right, so coming to the driver, kind of what did we see here? So here's ES. Just remove everything, why not? So this is just too much stuff going on here. So right before 9:30, let's go with 30-minute chart so you can really see it. All right, boom. So we have an SMT with the previous high, yes. So if I want to trade a lagging asset, being maybe ES or something, right? Ideally, this is fine, right? This is absolutely fine in my opinion, like this little SMT to go higher. But when you look at this asset over here, being YM, it's just, you can't really trade away from anything, right? I have all these lows, all these fair swings, there's equal lows at the current day low. There's no current day low over here. So it's a little bit too like one-sided, and even to short this as well off of the open to me is a little bit gross too, right? Because to me, this high here is more of a fair swing, right? Or this high here is a fair swing to this high. It's too high in the range for me to really trust it necessarily. And if you look, like we created this SMT here, to me, this is not really the reversal signature right here. Obviously, like we get this 30-minute CST here, not really a reversal signature. So I would need a strength switch, right? For me to even trust this, I would want the driver to expand away, right? And obviously over here we have this SMT. We have these fair swings here on YM. So it's kind of gross coming to the open for me. Just like not really interested in engaging it. I'll just trade a lagging asset, right? Once YM engages with one of these highs. That's pretty much how I want to play it. One of the sequences we could have seen for bearish scenario, the most ideal sequence, or one of the ideal sequences, you know, when we think about advanced premium discount, right, the failure swing, right, created from NQ manipulating the high. So look at where the failure swing is positioned in that range. We want it to look like YM here, ideally. Notice how YM is either in EQ or below it. That's ideal. So this is when you can typically trust SMT's holding. Now this is where we might get that breaking SMT sequence where, you know, when ES breaks this SMT, we could drop lower. Okay, so that's why I have to kind of wait here, you know, for both scenarios, because that's what could have played out here. Because here NQ doesn't really look like it's reversing. So anyways, yes, we do have a strength switch though. We do. If you look here, we have a PSP, we have the SMT, and then you get this little SMT right there. Boom. Right there, that little strength switch. You see that? So we do have that, and then the driver starts to expand away, but I can only trust that when the driver expands away. So here's the driver, boom, it's expanding away. So at this point, YM trades into low. And now when YM trades into low, about right here, this is when I'm going to study price. I'm going to look at how are the other assets, you know, kind of forming here. Because if they're just consolidating, or something like that, then this SMT here is likely to hold right here, this SMT. But if you actually look here on ES, right, it's actually failing to manipulate, you know, these lows here, this low. As you see, it trades into it, trades higher, and then get a close through. This to me is a continuous signature. It's already pretty low in the range, as you see. Here's the current day's low. It's just a gap. It's just 1800. That's not going to be the weekly low of the week. It's not. So that became my draw on liquidity here. Let's full screen it on ES. So I will show you my first execution of the day. Was this here. Boom. So off of the CSD, 1 minute CSD, expecting ES to catch up to at least the current day's low, because if I go on YM here, did not take a trade on YM today, that same current day low, which is right here, fails to be manipulated. So while this asset fails to manipulate the current day's low and trades through it, what can we kind of expect ES to do, right? Play catch up to the current low of day, right? And that's like a form of SMT breaking, right? If you really think about it, same thing. So this absolutely has to be a partial point. Like you need to be at a majority out of your position here because of the wick size, right? And because of these equal highs. This is kind of like these SMTs typically, usually retracement, right? Typically, so that was my first trade. I went with 6 contracts. I took off 2 at 2R. I'm going to break this down for you. So got the retest, put my stop loss here, took off 2 contracts at around 2R. As you see, this candle right there hit 2R. That's my first partial. So I took off 1/3, and then I took off, where is it at? Right here, at this gap. Boom. Took up another 2 there, so about 3.3R. I was out 2/3 of my contracts. And then when we got this strength switch, so you're going to see strength switch, this displacement back in the range, which is strength switch in Q, that's when I decided to close my position for what, wherever, around 1.3R or something, in profit, right? So good trade there, right? Really good trade. And now we're going to get into my second trade of the day. So we saw that price did this, and this is where I kind of got faked out. But first, let's just talk about this here. So when we created this SMT with the previous low, right here, that is the previous low, right? Yep. So when we create that SMT, the previous low, what is this signature here, guys? That would be a 2-stage SMT, right? With NQ. So here's your first stage SMT, here's your second stage SMT. Now, you're going to see that we created that divergence, or, we traded into the lows or whatnot. Now, this is where I got faked out, and this is my fault, right? So you're going to see that we get a strength switch PSP here. So notice how this asset is a bearish candle. This asset's bullish, right? And I believe right when, so we got a 30-minute actually strength switch PSP. That's what really caught my eye here and why I kind of got faked out here in a little bit. But here you see, we're obviously going to form my favorite signature in price, which is an SMT fill, 2-stage SMT. So one asset trades into a gap, but it's also a 2-stage PSP. So that's a mouthful. Sorry if you can't follow along. But yeah, so this is one of my favorite signatures, right? And I view this as YM and ES trading back in the range, while NQ trades lower to switch strength lower. But I will tell you what's kind of wrong with this idea. Some red flags, which I already knew coming into the trade, but I thought it was worth it. So boom, this is my other trade. Looking for at least like 2R or this low. Now, there's a couple things wrong with here, and you're going to see what happens here. So one thing that is kind of sus about this is like YM, I would need YM to also kind of trade lower, but there's nowhere to go. The range is already huge. Yeah, this is a perfect area to reverse from, right? It's the previous low. We pretty much wick the low, right? There's really, like I said, there's really nowhere else to go. We already expanded a lot. ES can't really expand lower either because of the wick size. I guess maybe it could have went here to the previous low, you could say. But here's the main thing is you don't want to see for a strength switch. And I kind of just ignored this. I make mistakes, right? But if you look here, you do not want to see the lagging assets expand back in the range, while NQ trades lower as well. You don't want to see that. You want to see these assets a consolidate or a trace. Okay, so there's where I went wrong. It's pretty much right there, but it's also the wick size, right? That's another thing, bro. Like, that's absolutely another thing. So I took this, and you're gonna see as soon as we took this low out, this creates an SMT with this low. So I was streaming this trade as well as the ES trade. So boom, we started to trade a little bit lower. I don't know, you know, it went like what, 1.9 or whatever, and then I saw that we're getting this. This is an important SMT, right? Because this could be a strength switch SMT. So while NQ trades lower to create an SMT, these other assets are expanding higher. So you really need to study how the other assets look when we take this low, right? Barely retracing, literally no retracement, right? So we can take the same logic of advanced premium discount, right? So while this asset's below the range low, the other asset's in premium. That's not good for me. That's not good for me to take this trade, bro. It's really bad. So I already know this. When I see that, I'm like, fuck, you know. So I'm just waiting for if price CSDs here. Just giving it a chance, honestly. Then I will just close my trade, you know, and not take a full loss. So that's kind of what I did in stream. Now you're gonna see that price closes down here, but I don't take this small little loss. To be fair, I took it right here, around here. I closed my system right here. So, you know, that's what, 42 points to, you know, it's like a half a loss, you know. So it's nothing too crazy there, nothing too crazy. But once that happens, like, okay, well, obviously now this is just a bullish strength switch PSP. Now at this point, when I took that loss, this is basically when the hourly candle closed here, right? If you see here, this is when the hourly candle closed. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, and that forms that strength switch PSP, and where the other assets are expanding back in the range. So this is good. This is good to see. So you have the option to either trade NQ back into this high, whoops, or ES, which is the middle asset, into these highs, right? But NQ is closest to the draw, so you want to trade that one mainly, but you can trade both, and I did trade both. So those are my first two positions, right? And this strength switch PSP confirms this on the daily, basically. It confirms this happening, right? And it confirms why I'm capping off its daily range. And yeah, so this PSP, or this, you know, candle 2 forms the low of 10 a.m. candle, of the 10 a.m. candle. Right, so, well, not the daily open, what the hell? 10 a.m. open. Right, so it forms a low. So now we can trade the expansion back in the range. If you look at even this asset that was, you know, turning weaker, you know, so to say, it also has this V-shaped signature that we like to see. Right, so you have the option to take this first CSD or the second CSD. Like, that's totally fine. I just waited a bit longer. So I took this CSD. I had to go do something, but no, any of these are fine, like valid, you know. Any of these are valid with that idea. Now, this is my other trade. Boom, bam. Right to the high about 4. And we ultimately got there. I'll just exit out. Right. So boom, there's my second trade, right? Partial around 2R. I went in with 3 contracts, only took 1 off here, and I took 2 off there. So yeah, this is why losses don't matter, guys. Like, okay, cool, I got faked out, but it's like recognizing that I'm wrong and then getting out, only losing half R. Now that is experience in a way, but also I just messed up, right? I just failed to recognize things, right? I kind of ignored some things that I literally teach, and that happens, dude. I'm gonna lose trades, like, who cares? So cool, lost that trade. Now I also took this on ES as well. Okay, so in ES, like I said, here's that trailed stop loss and profit after taking 2 partials prior. And now once I take my loss on NQ, I was like, I already know that these assets are likely to expand higher. Now this here, I closed at around 1500 or 15, yeah, about 4 o'clock actually, because price is just bullshitting. So I entered this gap here. I honestly love to see gaps. Put a stop loss around, you know, here, kind of covering the candle that creates the fair value gap. So here's candle 1, candle 2, candle 3. Put one stop loss there, as it's pretty much covering the body of this opposing candle as well. That's a bind stop loss, right? And my overall TP was about 3.6, but price was just bullshitting this whole time, dude. I didn't even partial this whole. I do win at 5 contracts here. I didn't even partial once because I honestly thought I would get there, but it did not. And yeah, I only probably took about 1.5 R here or something. So it is what it is with this trade. But yeah, those are my 4 trades, as you can see. Didn't take any NYM, didn't take any on RTY. It was just these 2, right? So what did I go, like 2-1 today or some shit? Or no, 3-1? Yeah, 3-1. Really good day, like really, really good day. Like super clean. I would really study this PA. It's pretty fucking fire, honestly. So yeah, hopefully you guys learned something.